was, David Key was just such a inspiration for me to get involved with his project. And I'm just really committed to it. So I would like to start with thanking a few people, and that is Mary Mannix, who have just been so instrumental in us having the opportunity to use libraries. We've used Urbana Library, we used the downtown library, and so really appreciate that. She and Derek Gee, also Scott Kiefer, who will be doing a presentation on our collection just a little bit after me. Before that, I just wanted to let you know there's a video that needed to be embedded into the slide deck, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to play. So Scott will have to come out of the presentation mode at the end of the briefing to show you that slide deck. So I'd like to get started with, again, thanking the African-American community. I also like to just thank Liz Chateau, Liz Comer, Teresa Donnelly. These people have just been so gracious to me over the last couple of years in getting more involved in AARCH. So next slide, please. So of course, everyone knows the AARCH Society, and it's the leading source of information and knowledge of African Americans in Frederick County. They've been working really hard over the last 2 decades. Again, kudos to Ms. Rose and the amazing legacy member and board members of this organization. Next slide. Again, the overview of the history. Most of you know this history. I will not spend a lot of time on this because everyone knows Mr. Lee's dedication to this organization, and also all the work that the community has been involved with over the years. Next slide. I was really excited about this slide because as Scott and Ms. Rose and a bunch of us was doing the just some light inventory of the collection, I ran across these 2 photos in the, this collection was at Hood College, so I was able to use them. And I was just so impressed with the, just the lineage and the depth of these photos. So again, here we are talking about identifying and collecting and preserving African-American artifact. And that's the, the core of our mission statement. Next slide. Scott is going to go into talking a little bit about the collection, but I just wanted to mention again in our mission statement, identifying and collecting and preserving and making publicly accessible the cultural objects. This is was a very important piece for David. A lot of the collection is still sitting at his home, but hopefully really soon we will be gathering it all together and having it in one location. And in that collection, there's just a plethora of things, books and articles and videotapes. So we have a lot of work that we have to get ingested, and we're very excited about that as well. Next slide. This is just more about the collection. We are planning on using a lot of it in the permanent and the semi-permanent displays at the Cultural Center. And we're looking forward to packaging it in different ways and just how we engage with the community and public programming as well. Next slide, please. Again, here's David's vision is to, make sure that this Heritage Center takes place. So we have engaged with Profit and Associates, and they're doing the pro bono work that we need to get done for the exhibits and the building ready for 2023. Next slide. And the facility, hopefully we will have it well designed and organized in a way that people from all across the country or the nation could come around and see the contributions of African Americans in Frederick County. Next slide. And so it looks like we're going to be able to play the video. So Ingrid Palmquist, who does a lot of work for AARCH, and we really appreciate her as well, just did a quick little glance of the window graphics that we have done on the outside. David Key and the team was very much involved with this window graphics. We were very excited about the selection of photos, and also that the window graphics has these African Americans looking at the public, and it's just really amazing. We are walking into the center now, and it's still just as it was. The architect, John Matthias, is looking at all the different ways that we're going to use the facility. We have the 106 group that is going to have 3 interpretive plans ready for us by the end of March. And so at that point, we'll be able to share that with the public. Of course, that's Stephen Gordon, our vice president, down at the bottom here. Next slide. You can go past that one. It's still the video playing. So I wanted to just touch back on some of the programming that the society has done in the past. And of course, it had rich family history fairs. And I think it was really exciting to see some of these fairs. I personally did not see them, but I have looked back over photos and found just amazing images of people and their families. And I just think it's a great way to continue with these fairs. And I'm sure we're going to do that in the center as well. Next slide. And of course, our living treasures, where we recognize and honor the elderly in our community. I know we are planning on, we haven't been able to do anything virtually with them, but in the future, we are planning on doing more events with our living treasures. And of course, Ms. Barbara Thompson is the lead on making sure that these recognitions take place. Next slide, please. This is Dee Jenkins on one of our walking tours. This is one of the most popular pieces at the center during COVID, was to do these walking tours. And Dee Jenkins would take a team of people throughout all Saint Streets and the Black community, and pointing out the recognizable and historic landmarks. One of the ones that stays close to me is the building on the left there, and that was the home of the Bourne family. And I just always think of that historic picture of the family sitting out front there. Next slide, please. And of course, this is Mr. Key along with Rick Smith doing the cemetery cleanup. That is a huge asset to AARCH Society. And we're hoping to get that galvanized again. And special thanks to Rick Smith with all the work that he does with the cemetery cleanup and restoration. Next slide. We have another program called the AARCH Reads, which I think is done on a quarterly basis. We have African Americans come and do read a book or stories from the Black community. We've had several people that partake in this program. And one, again, is Miss Barbara Thompson and her team that puts together this virtual programming. Next slide. And here's some of our displays. We recently did one Veterans Day with David V. Key during his military career, and that was displayed at the Urbana Library. And we also have on display right now the Lincoln High School memorabilia, and we plan on making sure that that is prominent in the new Heritage Center as well. Next slide. Thank you, Scott. So we plan on expanding our programming, to a broader base. We want to have small scale packages, theme packages. We just want to do a lot more with our programming. And we look forward to just multidisciplinary, cross-generational learning, and just making sure that the public gets to know more about the African American community. Next slide. Another thing that we like to expand is just our lecture series. I know there was a rich history before, but as we move forward, we want to even expand it more. We want to do film screening. We want to do music and dance, literary performances, gallery talks, slides and presentations, self-guided tours, oral history, just a plethora of things there as well. We really want to build out our docent program and internship as well. Next slide, please, Scott. And so with this, we want to just broaden again our net on who we are capturing, especially teachers and educators and researchers, tourists throughout the county and country. Next slide, Scott. And of course, we have to continue to understand that we need to have organization and sustainability, and our growth is very important to us. We have focused on that a lot this past year, and we look forward to continuing to build that strength in that area as well. Next slide. Our organization has just added 7 new members to our board. We are very excited about those new members and our legacy members. They have just done a great job of coming in and trying to figure out ways that we can be better stewards of our funding and our culture. We want to make sure we do a great job with that. Our volunteer corps is amazing. It's one of the most diverse volunteer corps I've ever seen, and I'm very proud of that. So as we move forward, we want to make sure that we have a volunteer program that is going to be lasting and continue to grow. Our strategic partners are just amazing. We cannot thank them enough for all of what they are doing for us. And we're centrally located at the De La Plains and the Sky Stage and the Visitor Center. I can't think of a better place for us. So we're very excited about that as well. Next slide. So the society have 50 volunteers, and they range from so many different career fields, from financial specialists, financial managers, archivists, architectural type people, editors, just a wealth of people. And the volunteerism at AARCH is just something I've never seen before. And we look forward to continue to grow that out. We have 512 annual members and 267 lifetime members. And again, we plan on growing that as well. Next slide, Scott. Here's some of our volunteers and supporters. It's just so amazing to see them work, and they have came together in any situations. For instance, I gave Ingrid Palmquist a call a couple of days ago, and she just came out and did our little quick video and just ready to help. All of these people are so accessible. And I think this is all because of David Key and how he has put down a foundation of, just a sense of community. Next slide. And just some highlights of some of the grant funding that we have. We are so grateful and so thankful for what everyone has given to the society. Next slide. Again, just more generosity there. So next slide, please. And so here's some of our highlights. Of course, we have the long-term lease. We have funding that's coming in from foundations and agencies. That's the city and the county. And one of the things that we want to do is to learn how to build that growth ourselves. We completed the phase 1 of the interpretive planning, and we're looking forward to phase 2. We've been patient, and hopefully we will have that, as I mentioned earlier, in the latter part of March, so we can move forward. We have so much thanks for John Matthias and the Prophet Associates architect. He has just been amazing. He's actually seemed like he's our building manager as well. So we really appreciate him. And I was hoping that he could join us today, but he couldn't. Next slide. So as we continue to realize the dream of this facility, we're looking forward to so many things, like just completing our inventory and cataloging our collection, and just figure out new ways to fundraise. And right now we are looking at the David V. Key Memorial Funds to realize the dream. And we're very excited that David have laid the foundation, and we need to move forward with his vision. Next slide. And a few of our highlights, Michelle Wright put together an amazing narrative of the Frederick County, and she's beginning to pull out pieces and use it for other presentations. She did an exciting presentation a few days ago, and it was very, very well received. We are also very thankful for our 5-year strategic plan that was led by Grace Stanislaus. And it was just so much wealth and growth that came out of that strategic plan. Next slide. And we want to do some very cutting edge exhibits and displays that draws people in from near and far, but we understand that that is cost involved. We are very close to putting together our search for our executive leader. We have just a lot of expansion that we like to get forth, and we know that that executive director will make that happen. And we want to continue to build out our board. Again, we're very excited about some of the people that have joined us. We have Terry Scott from Hood College. We have Gary Rollins from his own personal business. Just a great wealth of people. We have IT people that came on board. Very happy about Kathy Canning coming on board and helping us out as well. These are very strategic people, so we're very excited about how we move forward there. Next slide, please. And so that is the end of my briefing. And if you have any questions, there's some very smart people in the room from AARCH. Ms. Rose Cheney is here. I see Rick Smith is online, and thank you very much.
And here comes Scott.
Yes, give me a second here. Can we see that?
Yes.
So my name is Scott Kiefer. I am a couple things, but for the purposes of today, I am a volunteer with AARCH and the volunteer chair for the collections committee as it looks to go and ramp up again and get restarted in full force here. I was asked to put together a little sneak peek at some of the artifacts in the AARCH collections. And I thought, and I came up with the idea of 2 chairs. The logic behind that being, as we all know, we're all museum and historical site people. Objects are a way that people connect with the past. And sometimes it helps to have an object that sort of fits the framework of the modern day life of our visitor and our patron, and sort of help them connect to the past and get a way to establish themselves with an object from the past if it's kind of familiar to them. I also believe that a presentation that offers a dictionary definition of a word is completely insufferable and a total cliche. There's an old Polish encyclopedia that had a definition of a horse that said everyone knows what a horse is. And that is completely unsourced, so please do not go repeating that to people. That being said, everyone knows what a chair is. And so having 2 chairs is sort of a way to go and connect people, is something that is kind of familiar, but kind of looks different in certain ways as well. The first chair is the barber chair. It is made of metal and Nauga hide. I did not catalog this, so I assume that's the green stuff. And it is an old barbershop chair from the barbershop of Doug Petey Sewell, which opened in 1972 at 122 West All Saints Street in the heart of Frederick's African-American community. That location had also been a barbershop owned by Paul Reed. And so we have here a barber chair, something that is familiar to a good number of people, but also something that really harkens back to the old heart of the African-American community, and also sort of has a personal story to it. What sort of personal story can this chair tell? Well, it could also be shown in use. Here's a photo of the collection with Pete Sewell, fully in use. And even a photo like this, you can go and point to a few other things here. On the wall is a notice for an NAACP membership station, as well as this is for a performance at Lincoln High School, May 2, 1946. And as an entryway into the collections, both of those materials and most other things on the wall are also in the AARCH collections. So with one object, you can go and really recreate one location that
Scott,
shows.
Scott, I don't
Thank
mean to
you.
interrupt you, but we are still seeing your first two chairs slide,
Oh,
actually.
interesting. How about now?
Perfect, thank you.
So picture the chair in use here. Pete Sewell, 122 West All Saints Street. And you can see some of the things on the back wall there. Apparently the walls were covered with memorabilia and historical items and a whole bunch of things. But both of these items are now parts of the AARCH collection as well. If anybody can figure out what those two flags are up at the top there, that would also be appreciated, because I don't think, I asked around a little bit and we haven't quite been able to figure out what those two flags are. Second chair, whereas that first chair can go and be used as a location-based artifact and talk about one place that tells you a whole lot of things. Minister's chair can also do that, obviously, but I brought it up here as a way to go and talk a little bit more thematically. The minister's chair is wood frame with a polyester seat used by the presiding minister at St. Paul's AME Church, which is still an active congregation down in Dickerson in the southeast of the community. And it sat behind the altar since about 1960. But with that one chair, St. Paul's was founded in 1908 in Della, which was purchased for $25. And I went and did an inflation calculator and found out that that's about $800 some dollars, in the $800 to $900 range. So a little bit of money, but for a plot of land, not a whole lot, even today. But to show thematically some of the materials associated with some of the historic African-American churches. A photo of the old Asbury Church, which is from approximately the same time period as St. Paul's was built in the 1900s or 1910s. And a few of the more physical materials, more three-dimensional artifacts, which are a set of liturgical chalices and pitchers in an old box. So that one, even though we aren't positive of the church, and I'm sure Rose Cheney, if you're on this right now, you can figure out, you can tell me exactly what church if you know it. But included in the box were draft notices for Mr. William Davis, as well as an old hymnal, publication date 1915, all labeled as being from the town of Liberty. And so even with those, with two objects and two chairs as a way to go, and what are the next steps out to be used to go and tell some of the stories involved in the community. AARCH Collections Committee is looking for volunteers in the next month or two. The next steps that we're going to be taking are to start to move some of the materials into a little bit more stable conditions, as well as to rehouse, and even if we get lucky, to process some of the artifacts in ways that are safe and will make sure that these can be preserved for a long, long time and displayed in the very near future. Other committees, I'm sure, are looking for volunteers as well, but this is the one that I know the most. If you're interested, please contact either Protean or myself. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott and Protean. Scott, did you see that Jim had some idea about the flags?
I'm seeing that right now. That's good to know. Thank you, Jim.
Okay. And then Rose has a comment there too.
Caught me off guard. I think it's Mount Tabor, but not sure. Also very likely.
Any other questions for Protean and Scott? Thank you both so much. Scott, people were loving the chair idea, so I'm glad you went with that. Even if the computer was fighting with you there for a little while, went well. All right, well, if
I see another question there is, how can the general public best supports arts mission currently? Well, you can go to our website and donate. We would really appreciate that. And also volunteer, come join one of our committees. We would love to have the different people on our committees. It's one, it's one of the most diverse groups of volunteers I've ever seen. And as far as the proposed opening, the most I could say is 2023, and I don't want to commit to a date and time as of now.
and of course, Liz is there emphasizing becoming a member.
Absolutely.
Okay, anything else for AARCH while Protean and Scott are here? And everybody else who's affiliated with AARCH is on the call. Oh, what's this? Something new?
Lifetime membership is still that same price, so I would suggest that take advantage of it. And Mary, I just wanted to also thank you so much. You've just been so supportive. I really appreciate it.
Don't give it any thought, but you're welcome. The Maryland room is always there for AARCH. Okay, well, if nothing else,